The city of Talira floated like a jewel above the vast purple plains of Karelia. Its towers shimmered in colors no human eyes had ever seen before, and gardens hovered in midair, glowing faintly with soft, bioluminescent light. Alien citizens moved gracefully between the floating platforms, their delicate limbs and iridescent skin reflecting the city's glow. It was a city of wonder, yet beneath its beauty, trouble was quietly brewing. Near the outskirts of Talira, a small alien girl named Lyra wandered alone. She had deep violet eyes and silver blue hair that seemed to catch the light even in the dim spaces between platforms. Her movements were careful, almost floating, as if she were aware that one wrong step could send her tumbling down the sheer cliffs of the city's edge. But today, she wasn't exploring the familiar parts of her home. She had gone farther than usual, curious about a strange human device that had arrived with the last trade delegation. Humans were rare visitors on Karelia. Their ships were large, heavy, and noisy compared to the silent elegance of Talira's floating transports. Many of Lyra's people thought humans were clumsy and careless, their intentions often causing more harm than good. But Lyra was curious. She had always been drawn to new things, and the humans fascinated her. She crept closer to the human landing zone, careful not to be seen. There she noticed stacks of strange metallic containers, their lids open, spilling out heaps of objects that smelled strange and unpleasant. Garbage. Humans called it waste, but Lyra had never seen anything like it. Small devices, broken tools, wrappings, and bits of glittering metal lay scattered around. The smell was sharp and bitter, making her eyes water. She stepped carefully over a pile of metallic shards, trying to see what the humans were doing. But before she could move further, a sudden slip sent her tumbling into the heap. Her limbs tangled in a mess of wires and wrappers, and she let out a soft cry. She tried to pull herself free, but the garbage seemed to grip her, as if it had grown around her. Far above, Captain Ryan was walking among the human equipment. He was tall, with a calm presence that drew attention without effort. He had noticed the piles of waste and was making mental notes to clean it up later. But then, a soft sound caught his attention. A high-pitched, panicked cry that didn't sound human. He froze and scanned the area. His eyes, trained to spot danger, immediately caught a flash of silver blue among the heaps of trash. There, half buried, was a small alien girl struggling to free herself. "Hey!" Ryan shouted, rushing forward. "Are you okay?" The girl froze and stared at him with wide violet eyes. She didn't understand his words, but the tone of his voice, urgent yet gentle, made her pause. Ryan knelt beside her, carefully pulling pieces of garbage away. "Don't worry, I'm not going to hurt you," he said softly. "Let me help." Lyra didn't move at first. Her instinct was to run, but her limbs were trapped, and running was impossible. She watched him with a mix of fear and curiosity. Slowly, Ryan lifted the heavier objects off her, careful not to hurt her delicate frame. Finally, she was free. She sat back on her heels, trembling, and stared at him. Ryan extended a hand, but she didn't take it. Instead, she pointed at the heap of garbage and then at herself, as if to say, "This is why I am trapped." Ryan nodded. "I see. You need help with this mess, right?" She blinked. She didn't understand the words, but somehow she knew he was offering assistance. Slowly, with careful gestures, she began to guide him, pointing at the most dangerous piles. Over the next hour, Ryan worked to clear the garbage. He moved slowly, respecting her space, and Lyra watched every movement. It was strange to see a human so careful, so patient. Most of the humans she had glimpsed from afar seemed loud and clumsy, but this one, he was different. When the last heap was cleared, Lyra stepped forward and touched his arm, a gesture of trust. Ryan smiled. "You're okay now," he said. "Are you hurt anywhere?" Lyra shook her head. She was uninjured but shaken. She took a small step closer, her movement still cautious. Ryan noticed the faint glow of her hands, a bioluminescent shimmer that changed colors when she moved. It fascinated him. "What's your name?" he asked, hoping she could answer. She hesitated, Then, in a soft, musical voice, she said, "Lyra." "Lyra," Ryan repeated. "I'm Ryan. Nice to meet you." The alien girl tilted her head, considering the name. Slowly, she mimicked it. "Ryan?" she asked, her voice unsure. Ryan nodded. "Close enough." A small smile appeared on her face. For the first time since she had been trapped, she felt safe. Ryan stood and gestured toward the city. "Do you want me to take you back?" he asked. Lyra looked back at the outskirts. She wanted to explore more, but the heap of garbage had frightened her. She nodded slowly. Ryan held out his hand again, and this time she took it. Her grip light, but steady. As they walked back toward the city, Lyra observed Ryan closely. He moved with purpose, but not recklessly. Every step was careful. Every motion considerate. She had expected humans to be clumsy, careless, maybe even dangerous, but this one was helpful, thoughtful. They reached the edge of Talira's floating platforms, where the gardens glowed softly in the twilight. Other aliens passed by, curious about the human walking with the small girl. Lyra squeezed Ryan's hand briefly, as if to say thank you. Ryan noticed the gesture and smiled. "You don't have to be afraid," he said. "I'm here to help, not to hurt." Lyra's violet eyes shone with a faint glow. She wanted to say something, but the words didn't come. Instead, she pointed toward the city, then at herself, then at Ryan. He understood immediately. "You want me to stay with you for a while?" he asked. She nodded, and they continued together. As they moved deeper into the city, Ryan noticed small details of alien life he had never seen before. The way the plants hovered, the way the light reflected off every surface, and the faint hum of energy that seemed to come from the city itself. Lyra explained some things with gestures, pointing to a floating garden, then to its root-like energy conduits. Ryan nodded, fascinated. They stopped at a small plaza filled with other alien children. Lyra's friends ran up, curious about the human. At first they seemed wary, but when Lyra gestured to Ryan and smiled, they relaxed. One of the older children, a girl with long green hair, stepped forward. She looked at Ryan carefully, then at Lyra, and finally nodded. Lyra had earned their trust, and by extension, Ryan was accepted. For now, Ryan knelt to their level. "Hi, I'm Ryan," he said, holding out a hand. The children studied him, then shook hands with tentative curiosity. Lyra giggled softly at their reactions. Humans were strange, she thought, but not always in a bad way. As night fell over Lyra, the floating gardens glowed brighter, casting soft light over the city. Ryan and Lyra sat on the edge of a platform, dangling their legs over the side. The city stretched before them, vast and beautiful, full of possibilities. Lyra leaned slightly closer to Ryan. "Thank you," she said in her soft, melodic voice. Ryan smiled. "You don't need to thank me. Just stay safe, okay?" She nodded, feeling a warmth she hadn't expected. Humans could be different, she realized, different from what her people feared. Some could be kind, careful, and willing to help when needed. And in that moment, as the city lights reflected in her violet eyes, Lyra felt a spark of hope. Maybe humans weren't just clumsy strangers. They could be allies, friends, perhaps even something more. For Ryan, the experience was just as eye-opening. He had expected a simple mission, maybe a routine trade negotiation. Instead, he had found himself helping a tiny alien girl, learning about a world completely unlike his own. He realized that there was more to humanity than trade and technology. Kindness, patience, and understanding were just as important, and sometimes they could change lives. As they sat together, watching the city glow in the night, both knew this was only the beginning. Strange events, challenges, and adventures awaited, but for now there was trust, friendship, and the gentle hope of a new beginning. The morning light in Lyra was soft and golden, spilling over the floating gardens and reflecting in the crystalline towers. Lyra awoke to the gentle hum of energy flowing through the city, a sound humans could barely hear. She stretched her slender arms, feeling the faint glow of her bioluminescent skin pulse softly. Today, she decided she would show this strange human more of her world. Ryan had already started exploring the city. He moved with careful steps, taking in the delicate architecture, the hovering gardens, and the streams of floating light that connected each platform. Everything was unlike anything on Earth. Lyra watched him from a short distance, curious about how humans reacted to beauty. Most of her people ignored it. They were born here and considered it normal. But Ryan's eyes were wide with wonder. "You like it?" Lyra asked, her voice a soft melody. Ryan turned, smiling. "It's amazing," he said. "I've never seen anything like this." Lyra giggled softly. She had expected humans to be clumsy or careless, but Ryan's appreciation was gentle and sincere. She decided to guide him through the city, showing him both its wonders and its hidden dangers. Communication was the first challenge. Ryan had a small translator device, but it could only understand basic words. Lyra's language was full of tones and musical notes, and many of her gestures had no human equivalent. At first, they struggled to understand each other. Garden?" Ryan asked, pointing at a hovering cluster of plants. "Yes, garden," Lyra replied, nodding, her eyes glowing faintly. She pointed at the plant's roots, then at the light streams. "Energy feeds growth." Ryan nodded, trying to follow. "The energy feeds the plants?" Lyra's face lit up. "Yes, energy flows from city, keeps gardens alive." She gestured to a floating garden, then traced the light streams with her fingers, showing how energy moved. Ryan studied her gestures carefully. Slowly, he began to understand not just her words, but her way of thinking. Everything in her city was connected: energy, life, and movement. He realized humans could learn a lot from her people. As they walked, Ryan noticed small children playing on a nearby platform. They floated gently, held up by their bioluminescent energy. Lyra pointed at them and whispered, "Friends." She waved, and the children waved back, curious about the human who walked beside her. One of the older children, a boy with green-tinted skin, floated closer. He examined Ryan carefully, then at Lyra, and finally gave a small nod. Lyra beamed, proud to show her new human friend to her peers. "See?" Lyra said. "Trust." Slowly. Ryan smiled. "I'll try my best." They reached a small plaza where alien families gathered. Floating lanterns glowed gently, reflecting off the silver surfaces of nearby towers. Lyra led Ryan to a fountain that flowed with light instead of water. The streams sparkled, twisting and turning in midair. "Wow," Ryan whispered, crouching to get a closer look. "This is incredible." Lyra tilted her head. "Humans? Like water?" "Yeah," Ryan said. "Water is important on Earth. Keeps life alive like your energy here." Lyra's eyes sparkled. "Energy, life, yes, similar." She reached out and touched his hand lightly. "Feel flow?" Ryan closed his eyes, letting her touch guide him. He felt a faint warmth, almost like a pulse flowing through his hand. It was subtle, but it made him realize how different her world was. Everything was alive, connected, and balanced. For the next few hours, Lyra took Ryan through the city's hidden paths. She showed him floating markets where alien fruits glowed in every color imaginable, and shops where tools and machines moved by themselves. Ryan marveled at everything, careful not to break or disturb anything. Lyra was impressed. Humans were not only curious but careful, a combination rare among her people's visitors. At one point, they stopped by a small garden hovering over a deep chasm. Lyra demonstrated how to step on the invisible energy currents to move safely between floating platforms. Ryan followed her lead, carefully balancing himself. He stumbled once but quickly recovered, making Lyra giggle. "You clumsy," she said, laughing softly. Ryan smiled. "Maybe, but learning." Lyra's laughter was musical, like wind chimes. She realized that humans had their own way of moving, not graceful like hers, but determined. She began to admire that determination. They rested on a platform covered in soft moss-like plants. Ryan offered her a small snack from his pack. It was a fruit he had brought from his ship. Lyra sniffed it carefully, then took a tiny bite. Her eyes widened in surprise. Sweet, like sunlight, she said. Ryan laughed. I'll take that, as a compliment. As they ate, they talked or tried to in their own way. Lyra pointed at the sky and traced patterns with her fingers. Ryan followed, sketching shapes in his notebook. They exchanged ideas, not with exact words, but with gestures, drawings, and shared curiosity. Slowly, they began to understand each other. By midday, Ryan had learned to recognize some of Lyra's basic gestures, and Lyra could understand a few of his words. Trust grew between them, small but steady, like the pulsing lights of Talira's floating gardens. But Lyra was not yet ready to fully open up. She had seen humans carelessly damage her city before. She had heard warnings from elders. Humans are curious, but reckless. And yet, Ryan was different. His careful movements, his patience, and his kindness made her reconsider her fears. You help, she said softly, touching his arm. Not hurt. Ryan nodded. Yes, help. Always. Lyra's eyes glowed faintly. She had never trusted a human before, but now she felt something new. Hope. As the sun climbed higher, they approached, a busy street filled with alien shops and citizens. Lyra's friends began to notice her new companion. At first there was curiosity, then caution. Some whispered to each other, wondering why she was walking with a human. But when Lyra gestured for them to come closer and showed her trust, the children slowly approached. Ryan knelt to their level, smiling. Hi, he said. I'm Ryan. The children studied him carefully, then touched his hands in a cautious handshake, learning about this strange human who had helped their friend. Lyra watched, a sense of pride swelling inside her. She had chosen to trust him, and now he was becoming part of her small world. By evening, they reached a quiet observation platform overlooking the city. The sun set behind the towers, painting the sky in shades of purple, pink, and gold. Lyra and Ryan sat side by side, dangling their legs over the edge, watching the city glow beneath them. You like city? Lyra asked, her voice soft. Ryan nodded. I do. It's alive. Beautiful. Different from anything I've known. Lyra smiled faintly. Humans? Different? Yes. Careful. Maybe friends? Ryan placed a hand gently over hers. Friends, he said. Absolutely friends. For a long time they sat in silence, enjoying the quiet hum of the city. Lyra realized humans could be kind, patient, and trustworthy, qualities her people often doubted. Ryan realized that despite the strangeness of Lyra's world, connection and friendship could bridge any difference. As the stars appeared above Lyra, Ryan looked at Lyra and said, Tomorrow, maybe you can show me more. Maybe teach me about energy in the gardens. Lyra's violet eyes glowed faintly with excitement. Yes, tomorrow. In that quiet moment, both understood that their friendship was just beginning. Humans and aliens could work together, learn from each other, and perhaps even protect one another. And though the city of Lyra had its challenges with trust and cooperation, there was hope for something brighter. The first seeds of understanding had been planted, and both Lyra and Ryan felt a spark of curiosity, excitement, and courage for the adventures that lay ahead. The morning sun bathed Lyra in warm, soft light, making the floating gardens sparkle like tiny stars. Lyra woke with a sense of unease. She had slept peacefully for the first time since the garbage incident, yet a worry gnawed at her. Something was not right in the outskirts of the city, the same area where she had been trapped. She hurried to the observation platform where Ryan was already waiting. He smiled at her. "Morning, Lyra. Ready for another day?" She nodded, but her violet eyes flickered toward the distant heaps of garbage. "Problem. Not solved," she said softly. Ryan frowned. "What do you mean?" Lyra led him toward the outskirts. As they approached, the smell hit Ryan first, sharp, bitter, and unpleasant. Piles of garbage had grown larger overnight. Some were glowing faintly, releasing small clouds of toxic smoke. Small alien animals scurried away, their delicate forms barely avoiding the piles. "This bad," Lyra said. "City, humans. Leave waste. Careless. Dangerous." Ryan stepped closer to inspect the piles. "It's worse than I thought," he admitted. "I thought it was just a few discarded things, but this is spreading." Lyra's face glowed faintly with distress. "City, hurt, life, danger." Ryan nodded. "Okay, we'll fix it. Together." She hesitated. Most humans who came to Lyra had left problems behind. But Ryan, he had helped her, and she trusted him. Slowly she nodded. They spent the morning assessing the situation. Ryan took careful notes, sketching diagrams and observing how the garbage affected the surroundings. Lyra explained that the piles were blocking energy streams that powered the floating gardens. If the streams remained blocked, parts of the city could lose power, and the plants that sustained life might die. Ryan's brow furrowed. "So this isn't just trash, it's dangerous." "Yes," Lyra said. "City, suffer, need, help." Ryan nodded. "We can start with small steps." He carefully lifted a pile and tested the ground beneath it. "We need a plan that cleans it without hurting the energy flows or the gardens." Lyra pointed to the floating gardens above. "Human tools. Heavy. Damage plants." Ryan studied her gestures. "Right. We need human ideas, but lighter, safer. Maybe something that moves the garbage without touching the gardens." Together, they devised a plan. Ryan would use small drones from his ship to lift the garbage carefully, while Lyra guided him, using her knowledge of the city's energy flows. It was a delicate operation, requiring trust and coordination. As they worked, Lyra taught Ryan about the city's energy currents. "See, flow here," she said, pointing to a glowing stream beneath a garden. "Move. Careful, else plants hurt." Ryan nodded. "Got it. Slow and steady." The first few piles were cleared successfully. Ryan operated the drones, moving them with precision, while Lyra guided them with gestures and warnings. Each time a pile was lifted safely, the energy streams hummed more brightly, and the floating gardens glowed a little stronger. But the work was not easy. Some piles were heavy, tangled with wires and broken human devices. Ryan had to carefully untangle each piece while avoiding sharp edges. Lyra's small hands helped guide the drones, showing him where to lift and where to move. During a brief break, Lyra pointed at the largest pile, the one that had trapped her before. Her violet eyes glowed with fear. "Big, dangerous, humans, make?" Ryan looked at the pile and nodded. "Yes, but we can fix it together." She hesitated, then nodded slowly. The trust between them had grown, but the challenge was enormous. As they worked, other aliens began to notice. Some were skeptical, watching the human and the small girl handle the dangerous waste. But when they saw the first garden's energy streams brighten after a pile was lifted, their skepticism turned into cautious curiosity. One of the older aliens, a green-skinned elder, floated closer. "You, human," he said to Ryan. "Why help? Many humans careless and need leave problems." Ryan bowed slightly. "I understand, but I also know humans can do good. I want to help. Please, trust me." The elder studied him carefully, then nodded slowly. Lyra's small hand brushed against Ryan's arm, a silent reassurance. By midday, they had cleared a significant portion of the piles. Lyra's friends joined in, moving small items and using their energy to lift lighter debris. Ryan organized them carefully, showing them safe ways to handle the waste. "It's teamwork," he said. "Humans, aliens, together." Lyra smiled. Together. Strong. But the biggest challenge remained. The largest pile, tangled with human machinery and partially blocking a vital energy stream. Ryan and Lyra approached it with caution. She traced the stream with her fingers, showing him the delicate path the energy took. Ryan studied the pile. "If we lift it wrong, it could damage the stream and harm the gardens." Lyra nodded. "Yes, careful. Careful." Using the drones, Ryan lifted smaller pieces first, testing each movement. Lyra guided him with gentle touches and glowing signals, showing where the drones could safely pass. The tension was high. One wrong move could undo all their work. After an hour of careful work, the final piece was lifted. The energy stream hummed brightly, sending a wave of light through the gardens. The floating plants glowed more vividly than ever before. Lyra's violet eyes shimmered with joy. Safe. Gardens. Alive. Ryan smiled, exhausted but happy. "We did it. Your city is safe." Lyra's friends cheered softly, their glowing hands waving in celebration. Even the elder nodded approvingly. Ryan had not only helped clear the garbage, but had shown that humans could be careful, thoughtful, and kind. But the work was far from over. Lyra pointed to other areas in the outskirts where smaller piles remained, some hidden in shadows. "Not finished. Still, danger." Ryan nodded. "Then we keep going, step by step." Over the next few days, they organized teams of humans and aliens to continue the cleanup. Ryan taught them simple human engineering techniques, while Lyra shared knowledge about energy streams and safe handling. They developed new ways to recycle waste into harmless materials that could even benefit the gardens. Through this work, Lyra began to see humans in a new light. They were not just clumsy or careless. With patience, care, and teamwork, they could solve problems in ways her people had never imagined. Ryan also learned valuable lessons. The city's energy systems were far more advanced than anything humans had created, and the way life and technology were integrated was inspiring. He realized that cooperation, between species, between cultures, could achieve things no single group could accomplish alone. One evening, after a long day of work, Ryan and Lyra sat on a high platform overlooking the city. The sun set behind, the floating towers casting long shadows and golden light. "Humans. Help," Lyra said softly. "Strange, but good." Ryan smiled. "I'm glad. And you taught me so much today. About energy, life, your city." Lyra's violet eyes glowed faintly. "Trust, grow, maybe, humans, friends." Ryan nodded. "Friends. Definitely friends." They sat in silence for a while, watching the city glow beneath them. Both felt a deep sense of accomplishment. They had faced a real problem, worked together, and made a difference, and in doing so they had built a bridge between their worlds. As night fell over to Lyra, Ryan looked at Lyra. "Tomorrow, maybe we can work on smaller areas, clean hidden spots, and help even more." Lyra's eyes shimmered with determination. "Yes, tomorrow, together." For both, it was clear. This was just the beginning. The challenge of garbage and environmental danger had revealed the potential for teamwork, friendship, and understanding. With trust and cooperation, humans and aliens could not only protect Lyra, but also learn from each other in ways neither had imagined. The city hummed quietly below them, its floating gardens glowing softly. And for the first time, Lyra felt a sense of hope that stretched beyond herself. With Ryan's help, her city could thrive, and maybe, just maybe, humans could be part of that bright future. The morning light of Lyra brought a soft glow to the city, making the floating gardens shimmer like liquid jewels. After days of clearing garbage and restoring the city's energy streams, Lyra and Ryan had earned respect from both humans and aliens. Their teamwork had not only solved the immediate threat but had created a small ripple of trust between the two species. "Ready for today?" Ryan asked as he approached Lyra. His human voice was calm but full of quiet excitement. Lyra nodded, her violet eyes glowing faintly. "Yes, today. Show humans my city." Ryan smiled. "I'm ready to learn." Lyra led him through the floating streets. Today was not about cleaning garbage, but about sharing her culture. She wanted humans to understand the city's delicate systems and the importance of balance. They stopped first at a floating garden, one of the oldest and largest in Talera. "These gardens, life, energy," Lyra explained. She gestured to the roots glowing with soft light. "Energy flows, feeds plants, keeps city alive." Ryan knelt, observing carefully. "It's amazing. On Earth, plants need sunlight, water, soil. Here, it's energy." Lyra nodded, then touched his hand. "Feel flow?" Ryan closed, his eyes sensing the faint warmth from the energy stream. "I feel it," he said. "It's beautiful." She smiled, pleased that he could understand the city in his own way. Next, Lyra brought him to a small market plaza where alien traders sold glowing fruits, floating trinkets, and delicate tools that seemed alive. Humans would never have imagined such a place. "Market. Learn. Humans," Lyra said, pointing at various items. Ryan carefully observed everything, asking questions about how the items worked, how the energy moved through them, and what purpose they served. Lyra explained patiently, using gestures and melodic tones. Slowly, Ryan began to see patterns in the city, how energy, life, and movement intertwined seamlessly. One of Lyra's friends, a boy with green-tinted skin named Talon, floated nearby. He watched Ryan with suspicion at first, but when he saw how carefully the human handled the floating items, he relaxed. Lyra introduced them. "This, Ryan. Human," she said. "Trust. Help City." Talon blinked but then extended a hand, testing the human's patience and respect. Ryan smiled and shook it gently. "Nice to meet you," he said. Over the next few hours, Lyra led Ryan to hidden corners of the city. She showed him energy fountains, where light poured from the ground in cascading streams, powering nearby gardens. She explained how the currents worked, how minor shifts could affect entire sections of the city, and how every resident needed to respect the balance. Ryan listened intently. He realized humans had much to learn about careful engineering and understanding natural systems. Lyra, in turn, began to understand that humans could be innovative and adaptable, able to apply practical solutions without harming delicate structures. By midday, they reached the council hall, a grand building floating above the central plaza. Here, the city's leaders gathered. Lyra introduced Ryan formally, explaining his role in the cleanup and his willingness to learn from the city's people. The council members, initially skeptical, observed Ryan closely. He bowed respectfully, careful not to step too close to the delicate energy platforms. He explained how humans could help safely with projects that required physical labor or machinery that Talerans could not manipulate. An elder spoke, her voice melodic and firm. "If your species can act with care, perhaps you can contribute to our city's work." Ryan nodded. "We want to learn, and we want to help, not to harm." Lyra's heart swelled with pride. She had vouched for this human, and he had proven worthy of her trust. After the council meeting, they returned to a small neighborhood where children were experimenting with floating energy toys. Lyra taught Ryan how to use these toys, showing him how slight adjustments in energy flow could change movement. Ryan laughed when he accidentally sent a toy spinning into the air. Lyra giggled too, pointing and mimicking the spinning motion. "Careful, careful," she said. Over the next few days, humans and aliens began working together on small projects. Ryan taught basic human engineering techniques, using simple pulleys, levers, and drones to move objects safely. Lyra introduced humans to energy manipulation, teaching them how to avoid disrupting delicate currents. During one project, they repaired a damaged garden bridge. Humans had the strength to lift heavy beams while aliens guided the placement, ensuring energy flowed correctly. The bridge glowed as soon as it was fixed, reflecting in the eyes of everyone present. Teamwork. Strong, Lyra said softly, her voice musical. Ryan smiled. Stronger together. Even the city's animals seemed to sense the cooperation. Small, glowing creatures, normally wary of humans, approached cautiously, observing the shared efforts. Lyra pointed to one and whispered, "Trust, slowly." Ryan nodded. Yes, slowly, but surely. In the evenings, Ryan and Lyra shared simple human meals. He introduced fruits and snacks he had brought, while Lyra showed glowing alien fruits that tasted like sunlight. They laughed as they exchanged flavors and compared textures. The meals became small lessons in culture and trust, teaching them patience, curiosity, and understanding. One evening, as the sky turned a deep violet, Lyra took Ryan to a quiet garden terrace. The city stretched below them, floating in the soft light of bioluminescent plants. Humans, different, some clumsy. But you, careful, help, Lyra said. Ryan nodded. I know. We make mistakes, but we can learn, and we can do better. Lyra's violet eyes glowed faintly. Maybe. Humans. Friends. Good for city. Ryan smiled. I hope so. And we're learning from you too. Lyra pointed to a nearby garden and traced the flow of energy. Ryan followed, observing patterns, noting areas that could be improved safely. Together, they discovered small adjustments that increased the garden's growth without risking the energy streams. It was a quiet victory, but significant. The humans were no longer outsiders, they were collaborators. Lyra felt a sense of pride and joy she had never expected. Humans could be part of her city's life, and maybe even protected in ways her people could not. By the end of the week, the collaboration extended beyond Ryan and Lyra. Small teams of humans and young Tallarans worked together on minor projects, repairing energy conduits, cleaning hidden areas, and even creating floating lanterns that glowed brighter than ever before. See? Lyra said one evening, pointing at the glowing city. Together. Strong. Alive. Ryan nodded. I've never seen a city like this, and I've never seen humans and aliens work together like this. It's inspiring. The city's leaders noticed the change. They realized that humans could bring practical solutions without harming delicate systems. Aliens learned that careful observation, patience, and guidance could teach humans to respect their world. And both species discovered that friendship and cooperation could overcome initial fear and skepticism. On the final night of their week-long collaboration, Ryan and Lyra stood on the tallest observation platform. The city stretched below them, glowing softly in the moonlight. The floating gardens shimmered, the energy streams pulsed, and the platforms reflected the harmonious work of two species learning from each other. Humans, good? Lyra asked softly. Ryan smiled. Yeah, good. And learning more every day. Lyra nodded. Maybe humans always help city. Ryan laughed gently. Maybe. With your guidance, I think we can. They sat together in quiet reflection, watching the city thrive under their combined efforts. Lyra realized humans were not just strangers or outsiders. They could be friends, collaborators, and protectors. Ryan realized that while humans could sometimes be careless, they also had the ability to adapt, learn, and do incredible things when guided by trust and friendship. As the stars appeared above Lyra, the floating gardens pulsed with soft energy, illuminating the faces of two friends from very different worlds. Their bond had grown stronger, built on trust, patience, and the shared goal of keeping the city alive. For the first time, Both Lyra and Ryan felt that humans and aliens could truly work together, not just to survive but to create something better than either could achieve alone. The city of Talera glowed like a jewel in the early morning light. Floating gardens shimmered softly, streams of energy pulsed through every platform, and the once dangerous outskirts were now clear and thriving. The city had recovered stronger than before, and the bond between humans and Talerans had grown deeper. Lyra awoke with a sense of excitement. Today, Ryan's team would depart, returning to their human ship. But their work had left a lasting mark on the city, and Lyra knew that their friendship would endure far beyond this visit. When she reached the observation platform, Ryan was already there, organizing supplies. He looked up and smiled when he saw her. "Morning, Lyra," he said. "Ready for the final part of our mission?" She nodded. "Yes, today. Remember, humans, help city, always." Ryan laughed softly. "We'll always remember too, and we'll carry everything we learned here back home." The two walked through the city, revisiting areas they had worked on together. Children waved as they passed, some carrying glowing lanterns created during their joint projects. Elders nodded approvingly, their trust in humans now solidified. Lyra stopped at a small garden where the energy streams had been restored to their full strength. She touched the soft, glowing plants, feeling the pulse of life flowing through them. This, alive, strong. "Thanks, humans," she said, her voice soft but full of gratitude. Ryan knelt beside her. "And thanks to you, Lyra. You taught us how to respect your world. Without you, we wouldn't have known how to help." She looked at him, her violet eyes shining. "Humans, good, maybe, always, friends." Ryan smiled, gently placing a hand over hers. "Friends, definitely friends." After breakfast, they gathered at the city's central plaza for a small ceremony. It was not grand or formal, but meaningful. Lyra had invited her friends, family, and city elders. Ryan's team had joined as well, carrying small gifts from their ship, a few tools and devices adapted to work safely in Talera's environment. Lyra stepped forward first, her voice melodic but firm. "Today we celebrate, not just city, but friendship. Humans helped, taught, learned, together." The elders nodded, some smiling, some humming softly in approval. Ryan stepped forward, speaking carefully. "Your city is amazing. We came to visit, to trade, and to explore. But we stayed, and learned, and worked together. I hope this is only the beginning of a long friendship." The crowd cheered softly, some clapping, others glowing faintly with energy. Lyra's friends floated closer to Ryan, touching his hands in a gesture of trust. Lyra beamed. She had introduced a human to her world, and he had proven that humans could be kind, careful, and helpful. After the ceremony, Lyra and Ryan walked to a quiet platform overlooking the city. The energy streams pulsed below, casting soft light on their faces. "You stay?" Lyra asked softly, her violet eyes watching him closely. Ryan shook his head gently. "We have to return to our ship, but we'll be back, and we'll keep helping in any way we can." Lyra nodded, understanding. Humans had their own worlds to care for, but she felt certain they would return. "Promise? Return?" "Promise," Ryan said. He extended his hand and she took it, their fingers brushing lightly. As the humans prepared to leave, Lyra guided them through the floating streets one last time. She showed them areas where they had worked together, gardens they had restored, bridges they had repaired, and hidden corners they had cleaned. Each step was a reminder of the trust and teamwork that had grown between them. The children followed, waving goodbye, their glowing hands lighting the path. Some of them had learned basic human tools from Ryan, and others had begun experimenting with energy manipulation under Lyra's guidance. The city itself seemed to hum with life, a living testament to their efforts. Before departure, Ryan gathered his team. "We've learned a lot here," he said, "and we've made friends who have shown us the meaning of care, patience, and respect. Let's take these lessons home, and let's never forget what we've shared. The ship lifted smoothly from the landing zone, its engines quiet compared to Earth machines. Lyra and her friends waved as it rose, their glowing hands forming soft patterns in the air. Lyra's violet eyes followed Ryan until he was just a speck in the sky, then turned back to the city. The floating gardens, the restored energy streams, and the thriving citizens were a living legacy. Lyra realized that she had grown stronger, too. No longer helpless, she could now guide others, lead projects, and protect the delicate balance of her home. In the days that followed, Lyra continued her work. She taught younger aliens how to handle energy safely, how to cooperate with humans when they returned, and how to respect the balance of life in every corner of the city. She even helped create small training programs for future human visitors, ensuring that trust and care would continue. One afternoon, she stood on the tallest observation platform, looking over the city. The gardens floated gracefully, streams of energy pulsed brightly, and children played safely among the platforms. Lyra's friends joined her, their glowing hands brushing against hers as they shared a quiet moment. City, alive. Strong. Lyra said softly. Yes, one of her friends replied. Thanks to your guidance and humans' help. Lyra nodded, feeling a warm sense of pride. Humans had come to her world, but it was their friendship, patience, and care that had made the real difference. And now the city was not just surviving, it was thriving. Weeks later, a small human shuttle appeared on the horizon. The citizens of Talira gathered, watching as it descended gently onto the landing zone. Ryan and a few members of his team stepped out, greeted warmly by Lyra and the city's leaders. Welcome back, Lyra said, smiling. Ryan smiled in return. We promised we'd return, and we brought more ideas, more tools, and more help. Over the next few days, humans and aliens worked side by side again. They repaired smaller energy conduits, restored floating walkways, and even experimented with blending human technology and Talaran energy systems to create more efficient gardens and bridges. Lyra realized that the true strength of their city lay not just in its energy or floating gardens, but in the bonds between its residents and their friends from other worlds. Humans and aliens could learn from each other, support each other, and build something stronger than either could achieve alone. One evening, as the twin moons rose over Talira, Ryan and Lyra stood together on the observation platform. The city glowed beneath them, alive, vibrant, and full of hope. Humans, good? Yes? Lyra asked softly. Ryan nodded. Good, Lyra. And learning more every day? Your city, your people, have taught us more than you know. Lyra smiled faintly. Then, always. Friends? Always, Ryan said, as the stars reflected in the floating gardens. The two friends stood quietly, watching over the city they had helped protect and nurture. Lyra's violet eyes shone with pride, and Ryan's human eyes reflected admiration and hope. The city of Talira had not only survived its danger, but had become a symbol of cooperation, friendship, and understanding. And for Lyra, it was a reminder that even in a world of challenges, trust, patience, and kindness could create something truly extraordinary. Together, humans and aliens had built a legacy, a promise that the city would continue to thrive, that friendships would endure, and that no creature, no matter how small or different, would ever have to face danger alone.